Form is how the poem is patterned in concept or idea. All poems have some form or other. Let's take a look at some fixed forms in English poetry. Move the mouse over on any form to know more. Free verse, ballad, sonnet, lyric, ode, elegy. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveller, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way. I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. Robert Frost is one of America's greatest poets. He was born in San Francisco, where he spent his first 11 years. He moved to New England at the age of 11 and became interested in reading and writing poetry during his high school years in Lawrence, Massachusetts. His first professional poem, My Butterfly, was published on November 8, 1894, in the New York newspaper, The Independent. The poem, The Road Not Taken, is an example of a free verse. The free verse is not confined to the constraints of rhymes and meter to convey the message and effects of the poem. The poetry of Langston Hughes links its interpretation to the socio-historical context in which it was written. It creates an original poem that communicates a personal view on a current world issue. James Langston Hughes was born in Joplin, Missouri. He attended Central High School in Cleveland, Ohio, and began writing poetry in the 8th grade. His first published poem was also one of his most famous, The Negro Speaks of Rivers, and it appeared in Brownie's book. Langston Hughes died of cancer on May 22, 1967. In this lesson, you have learned how to Use information to interpret a poem, and answer questions based on clues within a poem. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify the meanings of words and phrases used in a poem. Let us start by listening to a poem by Emily Dickinson. Click on the play button to listen. Click here to know more about the author. The Railway Train by Emily Dickinson, 1830 to 1886. I like to see it lap the miles and lick the valleys up, and stop to feed itself at tanks and then prodigal's step, around a pile of mountains and supercilious pier, in shanties by the sides of roads and then a quarry par, to fit its sides and crawl between, complaining all the while, in horrid hooting stanza, then chase itself downhill and neigh like Bonigus, then punctual as a star, stop, docile and omnipotent, at its own stable door. The poetry of Emily Dickinson occupies a unique place in American literature. Some of them have strong appeal to children. The Railway Train became almost as familiar as nursery rhymes to generations of American children. The simplicity and brevity make many of her poems unusually accessible. Every image in the poem is precise. It is not merely beautiful, but fused with the central idea. Emily Dickinson describes the train as if it were a horse. This is probably because when the train was first invented, people called it an iron horse. Poetry is like music. It invites participation and performance. Just as when you hear a good song, you naturally want to sing along. So when you read a good poem, you want to read it aloud or want to hear someone else read it aloud. This topic will provide you guidance and practice in learning how language can be used to convey meaning and intention in the context of a poem. Let's try to appreciate this poem, a happiness poem by David Leonhardt. Click on the play button to listen. A happiness poem by David Leonhardt. If a happiness poem could bring forth a smile, then my face would always dress in style. If my ears could hear my computer screen, from one to another, they too would grin. My keyboard types for my eyes, not my tongue. This happiness poem will never be sung. But what of my eyes? Don't they shine? Yes, but not from this poem of mine. The pen is mightier than the sword, but a pen can write only words. The feelings I sense and the senses I feel, for keyboard and screen remain far too real. My ears and my nose remain at rest. My cheeks and the hairline are doing their best. But if this happiness poem could make my mouth smile, my face would forever dress up in style. David Leonhardt is the happy guy, motivator who hosts the happyguy.com website. To see more of his work, you can visit this website. A poem will live or die depending on how it is read. Let's study a few pointers about oral recitation of poetry. Mouse over each item to know more. Read slowly. Read in a normal, relaxed tone of voice. Pause. Use dictionary. Let's listen to this poem, Si Tenggang's Homecoming by Muhammad Haji Saleh. Click on the play button to listen to this poem. Si Tenggang's Homecoming by Muhammad Haji Saleh. The physical journey that I traverse is the journey of the soul. Transport of the self from a fatherland to a country collected by sight and mind. The knowledge that sweats from it is a stranger's knowledge. The changing realities. It's true, I have growled at my mother and grandmother, but only after having told of my predicament. The wife that I began to love in my loneliness, in the country that alienated me. They took to their predecisions. I have not entirely returned, I know, cozened by problems, estranged by absence. Muhammad Haji Saleh was born in 1942. He began to write Malay and English poems in the early 1960s and was awarded the Anugerah Sastra Negara, National Literature Award, Malaysia's highest literary award in 1991. To feel the poem, first read it aloud. Then slowly and carefully concentrate on the meaning and words. Then ask yourself these questions. Who is speaking? What is being spoken about? What kind of voice is speaking? In what situation is the voice speaking? Who is the voice addressing? Where and when? It is truly important to read, reread, and read it again. Also, as you read it, try to capture the tones, rhythms, and imagery that are there. Let all these guide you towards a fuller understanding of what the poet Muhammad Haji Saleh is trying to say in the Si Tenggang's Homecoming. Click here to know more about the story of Si Tenggang.